Hey, welcome. Ever had that itch to build your own app, but just didn't know where to even begin? Well, you're in the right place. In just the next 5 minutes, we're going to pull back the curtain on the absolute basics of C# programming. Seriously, we're going to take you from zero to your very first working app. So let's just dive right in.
So, here's our game plan, our little beginner's journey. First, we'll get you set up with the right tools. Then, bam, we're writing our first program. After that, we'll teach our code how to remember stuff and even make some decisions on its own. And to wrap it all up, we'll put all those pieces together to build your first interactive app. It's a super clear path from nothing to something you can actually use. All right, Section 1, Getting Started with C#. Every great project starts with getting your tools ready, right? Think of it like this. A carpenter needs a hammer, and we need the right software to build our ideas.
So first things first, what even is C#? Well, in a nutshell, it's this super powerful and flexible programming language made by Microsoft. It's the secret sauce behind a ton of stuff you already use. Websites, video games, desktop apps, you name it. It's crazy popular, which makes it a really, really great place to start your coding journey. And getting set up? Way easier than you think. It's really just 3 quick steps. First, you're going to download something called Visual Studio Community. The best part? It's totally free for folks like us. While it's installing, it'll ask you what you want to build. Just make sure you check the box for .NET Desktop Development. That's the one we need. After that, you just click Install, and believe it or not, you're ready to start coding.
Okay, on to Section 2, your first program. This is where the magic really starts to happen. We are about to take that first huge step that every programmer in history has taken. We're going to make the computer say something.
And what are those legendary first words? It's a classic, a rite of passage for anyone learning to code. It's "Hello World." It might seem simple, but this little phrase is how we know for sure that everything's working and our adventure can officially begin. Okay, so you're going to see some code now. At first glance, it might look a little complicated, but trust me, don't let it scare you. This is what makes Hello World appear, and I promise it's way simpler than it seems. We're going to walk through what every single line does, piece by piece.
First up, that class program thing. The easiest way to think about a class is just as a container. It's like a big box that we use to keep all our code neat and organized. It's kind of the main blueprint for our whole app.
Next, we've got main. Now, this part is super important. Main is literally the starting line for your program. When you hit run, the computer immediately looks for main to figure out where to start reading the instructions.
And finally, we have the real action hero, console.writeLining. This is the command that actually does something. It tells the computer, hey, console, write this line of text to the screen. And the text we're telling it to write? You guessed it. Hello world.
Okay, awesome start. We've made the computer talk. So let's move on to Section 3, storing information. It's cool that our program can say something, but what if we want it to remember something? We need to give it a memory.
Which, leads to a pretty basic question, right? How does a program actually remember stuff? Like, how does it keep track of your username or your high score in a game?
Well, the answer is something called a variable. And the absolute best way to picture a variable is as a labeled box. You just give the box a name, like player name, and then you can stick some information inside it. It's how programs store data, plain and simple.
Now, not all boxes are the same. They come in different types for different kinds of information. For now, let's just focus on the 2 big ones you'll use all the time. If you need to store a whole number, like an age, you use an int. That's short for integer, so you'd write int age equals 23. But if you need to store text, like a name, you'd use a string. So you'd write string name equals Abba. Just remember that text always goes inside those double quotes. The whole trick is just picking the right box for the job.
All right, moving on to Section 4, making decisions. And this, my friends, is where things get really cool. We're about to level up from a program that just blindly follows instructions to one that can actually think for itself and make choices. We're giving our code a brain. See, up to this point, our programs have been pretty static. They do the exact same thing every time, no matter what. But a dynamic program, that's a whole different beast. It can react to things, it can make choices. This is what makes an app feel smart and interactive.
So how do we give it that brain? We use something called an if statement. And honestly, just picture a fork in the road. That's all an if statement is. It checks to see if something is true, and depending on the answer, it tells your program which path to go down.
And here's how that fork in the road actually looks in code. The program asks, if this one thing is true, then it runs the code inside these first brackets. But else, if that thing isn't true, it completely ignores the first chunk and runs the code in the second set of brackets instead. It chooses one path or the other. It can never do both.
Okay, this is it. The moment we've been working towards. Section 5, your first interactive app. We're going to take everything we just learned, variables, if statements, the whole shebang, and put it all together to build something that a real person can interact with.
Let's build a super simple age checker app. Check out how it uses all our new skills. First, the app is going to ask the user, hey, how old are you? Then it'll actually read what they type. After that, it'll store that number in one of our int variable boxes. Then comes the brain. It uses an if statement to see if that age is 18 or more. And finally, depending on that answer, it'll either say welcome or sorry you're too young. See? It's reacting to the user. It's dynamic.
And that's it. Just like that, you've actually done it. You went from zero to understanding the logic of how to build an app that can ask a question, remember the answer, make a decision, and talk back to the user. I'm not kidding. These are the fundamental building blocks for pretty much any interactive program you can think of.
You've just taken this single most important step into this huge, amazing world of programming. So the only real question left is, now that you have these building blocks, what are you going to build next?